not click on the button named Go Live. So I'm gonna do it now, and we're gonna start back since the beginning. Okay. Hi everyone. First of all, sorry for the little delay, but yeah, actually I didn't push the button on YouTube in order to start streaming. My name is Ronan. This is my first YouTube live event. I'm a former international SEO practitioner, and today I have the chance to be with Jean-Marc Courtiade, who is a friend of mine and who knows very well Switzerland because he used to work in SEO in Switzerland, and actually it's still working in Switzerland in order to practice search engine optimization. And the idea of all those meetings that I'm going to do on YouTube are in fact to interview SEO practitioners of specific countries in order to know what are the do's and don'ts in terms of search engine optimization. Also, I'm really sorry for this small delay of something like 8 minutes, though this interview will be 60 minutes long. So first question first, Jean-Marc, could you please introduce yourself to our audience and explain us a little bit about your experience in terms of search engine optimization with Switzerland?
Yeah, sure. So first, thanks, Ronan, for doing this series, this show, and it's pretty interesting to be here. And yeah, so let's start. So I'm Jean-Marc Courtiade. I'm a French guy. I currently work for Swiss companies from France and also in Switzerland. I've been working as a digital marketer for 8 years now. And so the point is that I've been working in different sectors, and eventually my projects have turned to be more focused on SEO and SEM analytics. So, but specifically SEO and copywriting. So I'm doing this for medium-sized companies to bigger companies, and so the point is that I've been working for Swiss-based companies, but also companies who have settled in Switzerland but work for international markets. And yeah, so I have a background in IT and marketing, just to make things clear, and which is I think quite important if you want to work in this sector, in this specialty. And yeah, I think okay. It describes things pretty much.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jean-Marc. We have to mention as well that you are currently a future author at Édition Annie in France, and that you are writing a book about how to do audit for SEO purposes. Could you please introduce us Switzerland for our audience, just to put it on the map? I think I enabled the share screen. Yeah, you can share your screen because in fact I really wanted to have this talk with you in order to explain to our audience that Switzerland is a specific market when it comes to SEO, because you really have different types of population, if I'm using this word, but I mean in terms of languages, in terms of cultures, and I think it's important to explain this to our audience. And could you really explain us, of course, where Switzerland is located, but where all those different, let's say, markets are located in Switzerland?
Yeah, sure. Can you see my screen?
Sure, we can.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so Switzerland, it is, I would say, a small country, you know, compared to France, for instance, and but it's a very interesting country. So Switzerland is actually separated into three main parts. So the main one being German-speaking Switzerland.
Okay, could you please just zoom on the map and show us exactly where is the German part, where is the Italian one, where is the French one?
Yeah. Okay. So oh my God. So actually, most of the biggest part of Switzerland is this part. You know, it's pretty hard to see it, but on this screen, I'm sorry about that. But so the north part is the German-speaking part of Switzerland, and this is where you find 2/3 of the population there, and the population accounts for almost 9 million people. It's 8.5 million people. And so that's the main part of Switzerland. So people speak German. I mean, Swiss German. It's not German per se. And the other part, the second part, is the French-speaking area, which is here. It starts from Geneva, then there is Vaud and the Valais part. and this is where I'm working actually with people speaking French but also English, and it's kind of international depending on the cities where you work and the companies you work for. And there is another part which is a small one, which is called Tessino, which is located near the Italian border, and people speak Italian there. And and there is also another language which is Romanche, and but it's a bit everywhere, I guess. In this part. And so when you do SEO in this country, you have to deal with different languages, different people. They have almost the same culture, but Switzerland is actually a confederation. So it's a confederation of cantons, like departments in France, for instance, or small states. And they have their own rules, their own laws. And the thing is that you get the same basis, the same culture somehow, but things really differ sometimes from one canton to another, and you have to work with depending on the public you want to target. You have to work with different languages, and so the website or the websites you're going to have to work for will have to be some kind of international websites, though they're not international, but you have to manage them this way.
Okay. One maybe techie question. Did you find out when practicing search engine optimization some differences between, let's say, a French, so let's say .fr.com or whatever, but written in French for France, and one written in French for Switzerland? Did you saw any differences in terms of ranking position when one was in Swiss French rather than in French France? Do you think that, for example, Google is clearly making a difference through analyzing, for example, a set of keywords, identify that one is definitely the French from Switzerland based on the sentences, the way that those sentences were written compared to the French France language?
Yeah, so something that is to be considered in this area is that Switzerland is a country in itself. It's not, it's like any country. People work and consume in their own country. So when you live in Switzerland, most of the time you're going to deal with Swiss companies or international companies with their own adaptations to the Swiss market. That means that when, say, you have a website that is dedicated to the Swiss population, you have to make sure that it's going to be just for them and not for France. So most of the time, companies, yes, let's say if you have a French company trying to get into the Swiss market, first off, she's going to have to face Swiss-based companies who have been there for a long time, most of the time. And so the competition for external companies from other countries can be harsh, so most of the time you're going to have to create one website for the French population, your French public, and another one for the Swiss market. That means that most of the time you will have a .fr extension for the French people and a .ch for the German, the Swiss French speaking people there. Yeah. So the websites would be different actually. So you will have to target different markets, and search engines, Google, most of the time, will have to, they know the market. So you will do two different websites. And so the keywords, there is no cannibalization between both websites.
Okay. Did you actually? I'm going to come now to the next question, which is about the TLD. So you mentioned already that it's the .ch extension that we should have in order to target Switzerland. Is it hard? Not only. Okay. Could you then just tell us a bit about this TLD? Is it kind of a vital importance if you target Switzerland to have it? Are there any other extension to know, I don't know, for example, a .Genève or .Geneva in order to make a difference in a city? Should we have, or are there any TLD for each of those different parts of Switzerland that we mentioned? Can you tell us a bit about this domain name thing?
Yeah, so the .ch TLD is so it's a country code. The CCTLD, country code, the top level domain, is it's the historically most famous, and it's the oldest one that exists in Switzerland. And so yeah, companies that want to work for that want to target a Swiss population, Swiss public, they will consider using this TLD. There is another one which is .swiss that's been created in 2015. That is also interesting, but on the marketing side, most companies will use the .ch TLD, all right? And you can also use the .swiss. Sometimes it can bring in, from a marketing point of view, an added value, because it's Swiss. It's very recognizable. But most of the companies that want to target Swiss people will use the .ch. The .swiss TLD would be used for international communication most of the time.
Okay, you just hit my curiosity here, Jean-Marc, but
yep.
I was thinking about this last time and I say, okay, so we are dealing with a country in which there are 3 different official languages, so let's say Italian, French, German, and actually we have an international audience in front of us. Wouldn't it make sense to have as well the English version of our website targeting Switzerland with the .swiss, or is it something that companies are not doing at all?
It really depends of your market. Say you're a Swiss-based company dealing with customers in Europe, in EMEA zone. It means Africa and Moyen-Orient, etc. Yeah. And Japan, whatever. So in this case, you could use a .ch or a .com and have a website that could be managed in French or in English. It really depends. It's a broader question, If you want to, so just to make things clear, to simplify them, if you want to work for people living in Switzerland, you will have to use the .ch extension, TLD, and then if you want, and then use different subdomains or different subdirectories like FR, DE or IT to go for with the people with their language. But if you want to work for international public, you're gonna have to have an English website as well. It really depends of it's more
okay.
marketing thing. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know the .swiss TLD, but is it are there any restriction? Do you need to be a Swiss citizen in order to get it, or no, anyone can get it?
Well, yeah. First off, your activities have to be related to Swiss, and your brand image has to be related to Switzerland as well. And there is a website for that.
Well, actually, you can share your screen, because next question is about who are the main web hosting platform in Switzerland, because well, in SEO, it's often said that it's better to have, let's say, an IP address which is as close as the end user. So .swiss, yep.
Okay, so there is a website dedicated to that. It's called .swiss. It's called .swiss, right?
Okay.
Here, I don't know if you can see the URL.
Yeah, we can see it. No problem.
And okay, great. And it gives you all information you need to record, to register, to reserve a domain name in this case.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the first thing is, if you see, here it is, why, how, who. It's a how. Okay, so yeah, on the home page, it will tell you where or why you should get this domain name. And so the restrictions are that your activity has to be related to Switzerland, and your brand image has to be for Switzerland as well. So it's to me, what should be done in this case is to have first a .ch TLD domain name, and then if you want, you can have a .swiss. The problem could be that you're going to have duplicate content with this. So it's something you have to balance somehow. But to me, the most important is the .ch.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for all this information, Jean-Marc. By the way, if out of the audience which currently watching us, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them within the chat. Yeah, so next question, Jean-Marc, is about which web hosting provider are very famous in Switzerland that we should know? Are they open to international, let's say, consumers, or is it only for a Swiss-based consumer?
Well, yeah, no, actually, there are many different companies that host companies. I actually don't work with specific ones. I don't want to do advertisement, but
no,
they could be Infomaniac in Geneva is pretty famous. I'd say I personally use their services, but there are also other services, smaller companies that provide host services, and I'd say I don't want to give too many of them. There are a lot of them, and I think the most most of them are quite okay. The only thing is that some will give you also some kind of green IT, and that's it. But most of the time, it doesn't really matter. If you're you said that working with a server that is based in Switzerland is important. Actually, it's not that important. You can work with a server that is based in Ireland but serving Swiss people. It's not that much of a problem, as long as your infrastructure is okay. That's great, that's okay. So I wouldn't stick that much to Swiss-based hosting companies. You can work with Microsoft Azure, it's in French, and whatever. And anyway, it's all right. Even Amazon, whatever. It's kind of okay. I used to work with a company which is I will not mention the name, but it's a kind of very well-known glasses company in Switzerland, and their servers are based in Ireland. So it doesn't really matter actually. But as long as your servers are not based in the US, I mean, or in Japan. I mean, as long as it's in Europe, that's kind of okay.
Okay. So from my understanding is we have a website. We have, let's say, 3-4 markets to target in Switzerland. So your strategy is the following one: is one domain name in .ch for each of those languages, or do you consider that we should have or do you advise that we should just have one domain name and then play with subdomains, or should we play with folders? What is your piece of advice in terms of how to make the architecture of our website when we are targeting Switzerland?
Well, so it's like targeting an international public. There is no golden rule, in this kind of thing of you have to use a subdomain or a subdirectory. The point is, normally when you want to work with different companies, different public, different countries, you have to think in terms of marketing first off. If you want to use a subdomain, depends of if you want to target people with a specific language or or people from a specific region. Say you want to work because let's say you want to work for people working who speak German. Okay, so you have Swiss German people, you have German people from Germany, you have Österreich, so it's Autriche, I don't know the name
Austria.
in English anymore. Yeah, Austria, sorry. And so anyway, so it's more a matter of marketing. So if you want to work for German people, I'd say you're an international company. Most of I guess you could use a subdomain, but this is not a golden rule. These things have to be thought at first and a lot. But most of the time, if you want to work for Swiss-based people in Switzerland, you will have to use a .ch TLD, as we said, and subdirectories. So an FR subdirectory, DE, and IT for Italian-speaking people. Yeah, most of the time this is what works most. Yeah.
Okay, and so they won't feel insulted. I'm talking here about the Swiss citizen. If we are mentioning, for example, my domain name is da.de.jeanmarc.ch, or should we go for ch, let's say dash de dot Jean-Marc.ch. Do you have have you seen such a thing on the market in which we don't want to say you are German, you are French, or but you are Swiss German, you are Swiss French, you are Swiss Italian, that kind of distinction, I would say, within the subdomain?
No, I haven't seen that personally. But what I would do is that I would just use a subdirectory and not a subdomain,
Okay.
and use the /de /fr, and that's it. And you can also have to work on the hreflang characteristics of the website. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going through the other question that I have. So of course, if our audience has some question to ask to Jean-Marc, or if you want to challenge him, do not hesitate. I have another one which is about the technology part, because to me, SEO is really about content from one part, technology from another one, and then popularity. And dealing when it comes to technology, what are the kind of, let's say, CMS, or how do Swiss webmasters are building their website? What kind of technology are they using? Is it the same as in France, for example, where it's mostly WordPress, Drupal, and any other CMS open source software? Or are there any proprietary solution that we should know that Swiss webmasters are using?
Well, it actually depends on the size of the company. Let's say you're a small company and you want to target people in your city with a very let's say you're selling pizzas. You would go for something pretty, I would say pretty cheap, because it doesn't cost much. So you would go probably with WordPress. I'm not insulting WordPress. I mean, it's a great platform, but it's easier to get a website running WordPress and falls with a small budget than to get a Magento. You know, I mean, Magento would be too big for this kind of business. So if you're a small company, you would go for WordPress, or maybe Joomla, or maybe some kind of free things like Jimdo or Wix. I personally wouldn't recommend them. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't recommend them, but I'd go for, even though they've made great stuff with this, but I honestly don't work with this kind of platform. So no, so sorry when I said I wouldn't recommend them. I don't really know much about SEO, about this platform, and that's it. And so first off, you would use WordPress or Joomla, for instance. But then if you go on bigger markets, you could use stronger CMS like Magento, or even Umbraco, which is it's a Microsoft .NET based CMS. Okay. So it really depends on the money you're ready to invest. And just one piece of advice, you could use, I guess you can see my screen here. Maybe I should have turned off the sharing, but trends.bintwith.com can show you which website is used in, which technology is used in which country. And so for now, I'm in France right now, so I'm not sure I can get the Swiss technologies, the trends used in Switzerland. But if I because of my IP address, but if I were in Switzerland, I could get their the Swiss technologies used there. I mean, TS, etc.
Okay.
So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Jean-Marc. Could you give us some pieces of advice in order to start to get the first links for our, let's say, a Swiss website? Are there any easy spots that we could get in Switzerland in order to get some backlinks? How is, let's say, the education of Swiss webmaster when it comes to backlinks? Is it like a country in which they are spammed due to comments on WordPress or that kind of thing? I mean, what is the state in terms of link building in Switzerland? And as well, what are the different websites that you will recommend as easy spot in order to put our first links in?
Yeah, I'm not specialized in link building strategies, just to make things clear. I really have a strong focus on technical and content management. But about link building, you have to make sure that you are not getting first off that you're not getting polluted too much by a lot of websites that really are pretty bad, I'd say. And so there are a lot of websites that pollute your net linking strategy like this. That's the first point. The other one is that I don't want to say things that won't work. So I used to work with companies that have networks with bigger retailers and making kind of similar links, and this kind of network seems to work pretty well for those companies. And there are also directories there, but the point is I'm not specialized in this part, so I don't want you to get too much into this.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. Do you know any, that's a curiosity question as well, but do you know any translation services in order to translate from French to Swiss French, or from German to Swiss German? Or I mean, that kind of, because I'm really concerned about this part, because sometimes I'm launching websites which are targeting Switzerland, and I'm often frustrated to see that it seems like easy spot, I'm not getting them. I'm just thinking that, okay, maybe this is because it's too French France written, and I definitely need to find a way to translate it to Swiss French. Are there any services that you may know?
Well, this is called human beings. Actually, yeah, this is what that's how it works. I mean, to me, there is no way. I don't know any website that would translate French to French Swiss, because both, I mean, French Swiss is pretty, and French are very similar. You just have some kind of sentences or the way things are said that change a bit, but that's pretty similar. And even for the German part, Swiss German, when Swiss Germans speak together, they use their dialects, I would say, because there are different dialects and they understand each other, but the websites are written in German. And that's okay, you know, that's okay. So
okay, so would you say that, for example, when sometimes you are talking with me, you say, okay, 90, 70, or even some famous, let's say, sentences such as ça joue, or anything like that, I just would like to know if, for example, this just dealing with the figures part, let's say 70, 90, is it sometimes that you can, things that you can find handwritten on a website instead of 77, or instead of 77 means...
yeah, 77.
Okay.
77.
77. Do you see it sometimes written in proper letters rather than in figures? And do you think it can make a difference? Or have you seen such a thing?
Well, no, it's not that important.
Okay.
No. What's most important is that your website is in .ch, or that it retargets, Swiss sectors, Swiss cities, whatever. You know, if it's like you're targeting Lausanne or Geneva or Valais, it's a canton, or Canton de Vaud. That's the most important thing. So, but writing 77, I mean, so instead of in letters instead of figures doesn't work.
Okay. Are there any SEO tool specific for Switzerland that you have there? I mean, like companies who are selling services, SEO services, which are different than the one that we can find in, let's say, internationally. I'm thinking, like, I'm going to use the big name here, but let's just Shref, Majestic SEO, SEMrush, of course, the Search Console if we are more looking at search engines. But are you sometimes using tools which are really developed by Swiss companies that we can find nowhere else than in Switzerland, or at least which are Swiss based?
Short answer, no. No. The thing is that we use we use most of the things, most of the software and solutions that are available to the international market. So the names that you mentioned are okay, but you have to make sure there are some specifications, some specific things about the way you would use them, because Swiss is a smaller country than the US, or than even France or Italy or Germany. So it means that sometimes the data which are available are not that high, there are less data in terms of keywords for certain companies or certain sectors than you would find in France or in Germany or even in the UK. And so the point is, when I carry on a semantic study, when I study keywords, depending on the sector or the company, I have to check out which keywords are used in another country where people speak the same language, like France or the US sometimes, or the UK, just to get trends. Because otherwise you wouldn't get enough information regarding the sector. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Jean-Marc. So I'm just trying to sum up before moving to the site clinic, in which I will ask you to look at a website that I own and tell me what is good and what is wrong within this website. So to sum it up, we just say that when it comes to SEO for Switzerland, we have to consider 3 markets and not 4. Am I right?
Well, it depends. If you're working for a company that markets things, stuff, services, products on a specific area, you have to choose the right language. Say you're working for a company selling products only on the French side of Switzerland, so your website has to be in French. Maybe if you want to then later spread out in other areas like German-speaking part, it would be interesting to have a website in German. Yeah, but if you want to target the whole country, you have to have all the languages. Yeah.
Okay, so would you say it's 3 markets that we have in Switzerland, or is it 4?
Well, I'd say 3. Okay, there are 3 main. So 3 official. I'm not sure. Okay, 3 official languages. Maybe there is another one. It's called Romanche. I have to check it out again just to make sure that it's officially recognized. I'm sorry for people who speak Romanche and would feel bad about this, but so the point is it's a language that is not that spoken in Switzerland, so it's anecdotal. And yeah.
Okay, so I guess that the answer is, so far you haven't yet the opportunity, or at least no project have been given to you for which there was this 4th market to target. Am I right?
Yeah, let's say there are 3 markets.
Okay, so let's say 3 markets, so 3 different websites if we want to take out the most of it. .ch and .swiss as an opportunity for a more international audience, am I right?
Yeah.
Regarding the web hosting platform, even if you did not want to say any name, you say the one on Infomaniac that you really like, but there are others. This is what you say, that it's a market which is flourishing a lot in terms of web hosting provider, am I right?
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
And as well, we saw that the technologies in terms of developing the website were almost the same as in France. Sorry, I'm saying it from the French side or same point of view, but open source CMS such as you said Magento, WordPress you mentioned, and you mentioned as well the other commercial companies that we know as well, such as Wix and you said another one commercial.
Yeah, it's Jimdo.
Jimdo. Okay, Jim. Okay. You say that you are not link builder expert, but I guess you would recommend to go for .ch website or anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, websites obviously in Switzerland.
Okay. Any French translation to Swiss one? You said that it's before all cultural, so we need to know people who are able to easily identify the content of the website, and that's it. Do you have anything that you would like to add for our audience, Jean-Marc? Anything that people should know before going into Switzerland?
You mean before doing SEO in Switzerland or working there?
No, I mean doing SEO in Switzerland.
Well, it's a specific country, and as I said, you have to work with different languages, just to sum things up, and sometimes you would get less information than in France. And this is, you have to take this really into consideration, because sometimes you can be lost. No, I wouldn't say lost, but yeah, you have to make sure that you can gather other information from other websites from other countries. And on the other hand, yeah, one specificity is that most people use Google. Google is the #1 search engine in Switzerland. We don't speak about it. I thought you would ask me the question, but no. So here it is. And but on the other hand, the iPhone is the most used smartphone, as they say in here. They call it Natel. Okay, it's it used to be a brand name, and so they call it Natel and a Natel. And so the iPhone is the most used. So because Siri uses Bing images for its search, you have to make sure that things are also are kind of okay for Bing as well. But it's Bing, sorry, Google search is the most important thing. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, yeah, it comes to me as well a curiosity question. Do they make a difference between google.com and google.ch? Are they mainly using google.ch or google.com?
CH.
Okay.
Anyway, when you turn to .com, it will do a redirect on the .ch.
Okay. So Jean-Marc, it's currently, I mean, we have 20 minutes left.
Yep.
As usual, if the audience has any questions, please feel free to use the chat. Let's go for the site clinic.
Sure.
So Jean-Marc, if you can share me your screen, and if you could just tell me. So I try to make this experience of going to Switzerland, and I just purchased my first name dash family name .ch, and I just would like to know if you could like destroy, ruin my website, give me pieces of advice about things that I did wrong, because I'm definitely a French person, so I'm just thinking about the French mentality, and I may have it wrong. So yeah, if you could just I don't know, just have a look at it and tell me, okay, yeah, definitely here, this is the kind of thing that I'm optimizing it in order to make it straight. This is for Switzerland. Yeah, exactly. That's the one.
Yeah, you sent me, okay, just make things clear. You sent me the link, but I haven't checked the website.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's do it. And by the way, I'm using Firefox now. Most people would use Chrome, but for a kind of experiment, I'm turning back to Firefox. So even just to check out if the SEO tools work with it, and also for some personal reasons, because I tend to also defend more open source and free software than proprietary software, even though there are good ones as well. So yeah, I'm using this one, Firefox now. This is not advertisement. Just make things clear as well. And but maybe things I would maybe get a bit lost on it, but that's it. Okay, so this is your website on .ch. So first off, okay, so you have .ch, which is grand, which is okay. As we said, you're using HTTPS. I mean, yeah, this is basic stuff, okay? So let's check if you have a .http. Okay, so the redirect is fine. What I would do first is also to check out if your website is well indexed on Google. So it's very simple. I would use this, and it's Ronan Chardonnay.ch, and see how it looks like. Okay, so it seems you're not using Google Search Console.
I am using it, yes.
Okay. You're using it, okay, because we have an error message here, and sometimes, most of the time, that's because you're not using it.
Yeah, so if you want to take the control of it, that's what I say.
Okay, so we have one web page, so it's Ronan Chardonnay, formateur consultant sur Matomo. Okay, okay, so so the title seems to be a bit long because it's cut. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's truncated. But yeah, okay, so the keywords you want to target seems to be all right. So you have your name, points, and then formateur and consultant sur Matomo. So okay, so you want to target these keywords, and I think they're okay. Formateur consultant indépendant sur okay, so yeah, it seems to be pretty okay. So let's see which keyword before we get into the really the website. Let's get if you're showing up on Google with this. So it's formateur. So it's only in French, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I have another question for you, Jean-Marc, that I prepared, which is about, are there any obligations as a webmaster in Switzerland? For example, in France, we have the obligation to say that what is the web hosting platform which is behind. We have the obligation under the privacy law as well. We have many obligations like this that actually I didn't fulfill on some of my websites. I wanted to know in Switzerland what is the main website of reference in order to know what are the obligations that webmasters have to fulfill when targeting Switzerland.
Yeah, well, this is a very interesting question. So the law is not as strong as in France or than in the EU. So the GDPR is not, well, there is no GDPR. No, I mean, okay, if you're a company in Switzerland and you want to target people in European countries, it could be interesting to get GDPR compliant, because if, say, you have to face people wanting to know what you know about them, which data you've gathered about their profile, etc., you'd better be able to answer, all right? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, in Switzerland, there is a specific legislation law about this. I forgot the name. It's been a while. I haven't worked on this because it used to be very widespread, very famous when the GDPR was released 2 years ago. But now, 2 or 3 years ago, now Switzerland is adapting GDPR to its own country, to its own legislation. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a specialist of that, but it's not as strong as GDPR. It's more flexible, but anyway, that's kind of interesting. But it's not as strong as the GDPR. So there were many milestones about this law, and it wasn't released a few years, 2 or 3 years ago. Now I don't know. So the first version of this law had to be respected, obviously, and now the next one is going to be stronger than the former, but not as strong as the GDPR.
Okay. So and what is the name of the website on which we could get some information about it?
You know what? It's been a while. I haven't checked this out, so let's check it out. It's called LDD. C'est la loi sur la protection de données. So it's LPP, if I remember that well. LPP. Swiss. Non, c'est pas ça. I think, Swiss Protection. Yeah. It sucks a bit from not to. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't worked in these things because I've been working for international companies, so that's not that much of a issue for me right now. Swiss protection de données.
And is it like in France?
Yeah, LPD. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, protection de données en Suisse. Okay, so that's the LPD.
Okay, and is it like in France? You need to disclose on the page who is the web hosting platform and who is the director of publishing the content?
Well, so far, no. You can if you want, but it was not as compulsory as the GDPR would do, or what the French legislation would do. No, okay. You don't have to do that. It's more okay. It's more easier. It's easier to do website without having to deal with these questions. Anyway, that's better to do that, but companies don't do that much.
Okay, and I guess admin.ch is the website of reference. Could you tell us a bit more about what is this website? Because I've seen it many times. And
okay, admin.ch is a website from the Confederation, Swiss Confederation, where the most important, where all the law and measures which are being taken by the Swiss Confederation appear. Okay, so now it's in German. it's in many languages. Okay, so you see,
including Romanche.
it's the website is in German. Yeah, there is RM is for Romanche, you know. So it's even in English. Yeah, so yeah, so Romanche seems to be. I'm sorry, I'm not Swiss, so and I don't live there, but it appears that I work for them. So for Swiss companies. So yeah. So the point is that you get this website in different languages, and it's a very comprehensive, complete website about what information you could get about the protection of your personal data, or about COVID legislation, etc. It's updated all the time, and I think it's a great piece of website. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great website. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So if we come back to the website that I gave you,
Yeah.
what are, let's say, the hints, the small thing that you really think could make the difference and could really show that, okay, here we are,
so
a French-Swiss website. Yeah, sorry.
No, let's go. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Well, yeah, okay, so okay, I'm doing again. So what is very funny is that when we type in formateur in Switzerland, so okay, come on, it's pretty so the camera. So when you type in Swiss trainer Matomo, say if I translate it correctly in English, you appear to be the first one. Okay, and what's interesting is that I'm now in France. So the results are mainly for France. Okay, but you appear in as the first person, so congratulations. And I guess this is the right request, the right keywords that someone would look for. All right. But what is really funny is that you also appear on the .fr, on that BE for Belgium. I don't know. Yeah, Mercedes-Benz, kind of funny. And yeah, and also Luxembourg. Okay, so that's kind of okay. And okay, so what I see here is that your meta description is not the same as the one we had before, which means that maybe Google has changed it from something you have written on the website in the meta description area, from something that is on the website. Apparently, yes. Okay, so we'll check out. Okay. There are many things we can do. So the first thing is that I think green is not a right color for Switzerland. I'm kidding, but okay, let me check this out pretty quickly. Okay, so it's only one
yeah, it's a one-page website.
Yeah, my experience. Okay. What I do, I would quickly go into the source code, and okay, so. I would check something like this pretty quickly with my eyes, you know. Okay, so you've written this meta description. So you have to check out the size of the meta description. You have to make sure that it's not more than 160 characters, roughly. Okay, so you have this. Is there any canonical? Okay. No. Okay, so there is. You should write a meta, a real canonical on this webpage, just to make sure to show that you're the original content, that this webpage is an original content.
Okay.
Pretty important. Okay, so your website is only written in French. It would be interesting to write it in different languages, as we said before. So in German and Italian. I would focus more on the German part because that's the most. This is where you would do most of your business, because this is where big companies are, and two-thirds of the population is. Yeah, this is what I would do at first. Okay. One thing I would do as well is that I would check with some a crawler like Screaming Frog, what data we get from your website. So the title, if the H1 is grant is okay or not. So I would use a little add-on extension for for Firefox, but it's also available on Google Chrome as well. It's a web developer, and I will check the document outline to see if you have the right titles and the right content on them. Okay, so the first title is Ronan Chardonnay. It's cool. Anyway, the keywords you're targeting are matomo and formateur and consultant. So this is what I would add in the H1 as well. And you have to also make sure that it doesn't break your design, your UI.
Mm-hmm.
What I can for you, Matomo. Okay, so Matomo is grand because it's in the H2. It's one of the H2, but you should put it also. It's pretty basic what I'm saying here, but okay, you should put them in the orders. Okay, that's okay. Okay, it's here. Formation, consulting. I think it's kind of okay. It's kind of okay. Just I would add formateur, consultant, Ronan Chardonnay in the first heading in the H1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But this is very high level analysis that I'm doing here. What else? You have all these links in your footer. Okay,
yeah,
so
this is for the next streaming YouTube videos.
Okay. So yeah, we have 5 minutes left. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing I would do. But this is very high level. Analysis. Yeah. I would check also the image. If the image is, has the right name, is there alt on it?
Mm-hmm.
Inspect elements. Yeah. Okay. Where is it?
I mean, are those places where you would hide, for example, the name of the country, the name of the cities, or the kind of thing, in order to clearly say, okay, come on, this is about Switzerland and nowhere else? I mean, do you know any tags that we could embed on the pages in order to clearly make it straight? For example, I added the HTML language code at the top of the page, but should I add more language attribute to the link? Should I stuff it with geolocation keywords here and there in order to make a difference on different cities or that kind of thing?
Well, one basic rule of SEO to me is that you have to cover everything you can cover in SEO. So if you can put link attributes, put them. If you can make sure that your images have alt description, put them. I mean, that's kind of basics, you know. Make sure that your URL has got the right keywords. Make sure that your image is not too big, and I mean its weight is not too much, and that the name of your image is okay as well. That it has keywords. This is pretty basic. And you have, just put a canonical into this. If you get other pages in German and Italian, use hreflang, and use also the not only the language but also the region. You know, it's a ch and hyphen de, you know what I mean. Just to make sure that Google would understand which language this page targets, and which web page is in another language. And this is very simple, but it's kind of important. I mean, anyway, your website is pretty simple, so
okay.
So that's okay. Yeah.
One last question for you, Jean-Marc, is what is the rule that Swiss websites are mostly using in terms of redirect? Because when they learn, for example, on admin.ch website, they don't really know at that point which language the person is speaking, or at least the most comfortable with. Is it the German? Is it French? Is it Italian? And what is is there a rule or kind of a culture that they apply in order to, do they do automatic redirection? Do they consider that you land as Google finally decided you will land on, and you will have to change the language afterward, or how does it work?
Well, this is more a matter of the development, and but what is important is that you serve the right information, the proper information to your public. So you would have to use you could use different strategies for that. The first one would be to use the IP address. Say you're in Lausanne, which is a French speaking city. Romandie, okay. You can first off check the language of Okay, now what I would do is I would use the IP address. Okay, but it's most it's most a matter of development and I mean web dev, right? So what I would do is that I would check the language of the IP address or the language of the browser at first, and it really depends which one you want to use. But there is no rule for that. I mean, the rule is that you have to serve the proper language to your audience, and yeah, and so yeah, most of it depends of your yeah. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about several scenarios at the same time. So the thing is, just I would just end like this with this. Just make sure that your website is easy to understand in terms of UX, and you can have go on another language.
Okay, thank you, Jean-Marc. It's currently 3:60, and that was a 60-minute interview. Unfortunately, we didn't get any questions from the audience. I hope that everything, I guess that it's because everything that you said were very clear. I really would like to thank you, Jean-Marc, for your availability today. So as our audience, and as well Frédéric, who was here in order to moderate the chat. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day, and thank you once more, Jean-Marc, for your time.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone who's watched this episode.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye. Cheers.
Cheers.